from the farthest reaches of the galaxy, the Midwest. You're watching Beyond the Blast Doors live.
Episode 56 of Beyond the Blast Doors live on this Sunday. Thank you so much for joining us, David, Jesse. We are back together, and Jesse looks happy about it, and David's happy about it.
We've had a couple weeks of rotten weather.
Mm-hmm. We have.
Yeah. I got trapped over here one weekend, and then another weekend we couldn't get over here.
Inventory.
Pounded by snow. We had 15 inches of snow one weekend, and that's why I've been doing the last couple of episodes solo. So thank you for toughing that out with me. I know me for an hour and a half straight isn't the most exhilarating thing. Or maybe it's great because those episodes have like a lot of people watching.
Good.
We got people subscribing. That's really exciting. Today is January 27th, right?
Yep.
That's the date.
Yep.
January 27th.
It's a Sunday.
A little on this
Sunday
day.
fun day.
Steve Leialoha. I'm trying something new. I want to like break down like when we go live, what happened on this day in Star Wars history. So we got Steve Leialoha, who is a comic book artist and colorist, who inked the early Marvel Star Wars issues. Like I have some of his, like number 2, number 3, number 4.
But
like,
not number 1?
Not
your prize number 1?
No, the one that's behind Jesse. That beautiful piece of comic art. We also have, in 1999, the comic book Boba Fett, Enemy of the Empire was published. I believe it was 1999, like I said. And it was really interesting because it was like a pre-New Hope, like a pre-1977 Star Wars story. Pretty cool, kind of how he and Vader and a couple other Imperials have run-ins. And then a little bit more recently, a couple years ago, 2016, the Protector of the Concord Dawn. That was a Rebels episode. We got some Mandalorian action. They were trying to get that hyperspace route.
That was a really good episode.
It was a lot of fun. You're not biased at all because of the Mandalorians.
Well, I mean, it's Concord Dawn, and it's like one of my favorite lore planets, but I digress.
No, it was a great episode, and we know that the folks in the chat, 2 of them at least, the Boffmans, are making their way through Rebels. So maybe they've seen that episode already, or maybe they are about to hit that episode. And they're in for a real treat. A lot of fun stuff on the episode this week that Jesse, David, and I are excited to talk about. Mark Hamill possibly giving away Kylo Ren's fate in Episode 9 on social media. We know how he likes to troll fans. The Rebel Alliance increasing its numbers in Star Wars number 60. You know we love our Star Wars comics here on the show. There are 2 things about this comic. One that I like, one that I don't like. We'll all talk about it. Hint, a stormtrooper wielding a lightsaber. Think as you wish. And then this is really cool because I saw this on the internet the other day. Amazon Prime is going to be dropping a cosplay special on the 501st UK Garrison and talking about all their trips to the hospitals, their charity work. And I think that it's going to encapsulate the magic of cosplay. It's not just people dressing up like their favorite hero or coming up with their own character. There's so much goodwill in that community, and I think that's what they're going to dive into.
Oh, yeah.
So it's next month. We'll talk about that, staying on target. So really excited for that. Also want to let you know, if you haven't already, smash that thumbs up button. Give us a thumbs up on this video. And if you haven't already, subscribe. Be sure you ring the bell. That way, when we go live like this or we make new videos, you're the first to know when that happens. You can also follow us, as you see on your screen, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at BTBD Star Wars. That's the at. I don't know what they call that thing, but it's at BTBD Star Wars. Anyway, that's where you can follow us. And before we dive into the first segment of the show, want to say hey to all those people in the live chat. We got Alaska Vader coming out for the show today. Comic Book Gallery. I believe we have Mr. Pete Felser with us. That's exciting to have him with us. He is a writer of sorts. We also have the Boffmans and a few others. So really excited to have everyone here with us. And let's go ahead and dive into it. Real Talk, the first segment of our show where if you can watch the Star Wars on the screen, so like the theater screen, your home TV, maybe on your Netflix streaming platform, your phone, we're talking about it in this segment. So the first topic that we have today is a topic that gets me really excited, and it's kind of like the antithesis of the episode here. Adam Driver says that Star Wars Episode 9 is their last chance to get it right, which makes sense for a lot of reasons, boys. It's the last chance. Maybe
so
why.
Is that a subtle jab that they haven't gotten it right in the last 2 movies?
No, I think what he's saying is it's a trilogy. It's the 3rd film. We're probably done with these characters for a while on the movie screen. Jesse, isn't that how you take this?
Yeah, I mean, There's a lot that you can lean into there. I mean, if you look into the quote, he kind of talks about what it's like to be working on a project, and it takes time to actually get comfortable with it.
Let's go ahead and talk about that. In the quote, it says, "In the plays that I've done, a 6-month run, on the very last day, you finally feel like, oh, now I have a better understanding of what it is that I want to do, and I wish we could do this all over again." Working on a play, the questions you can ask yourself are infinite, and that's what's torturous about film sometimes. You only have one shot to get it right, and you can do a lot of takes, but we're not all going to get back together again and do this. But for something you're doing for 6 years, you still have a chance to go back and make something a little bit more articulated. So I think what that quote does is reinforce the fact that there's no slamming. It's the truth, though. When you're doing theater, you're only able to do it time and time again. I mean, there are shows that have 100-show runs.
You can grow and evolve and adapt,
right?
And that's a
learn
live
from the
performance.
audiences.
Like a theater play is, something where it's just like, yeah, they can allow for that growth and everything. But a movie, he says it right there.
But think about like what he's saying on set too. Let's say you get 32 takes. There's a chance that you don't get it by the 32nd take, and you just have to move on. Some say that might have happened with Attack of the Clones a few times along the way.
I remember
I like Hayden Christensen.
A few times,
but there's this that I hate Sandline. It just really felt like he needed a 33rd attempt.
You know what? I connect with the sand line now that I work at Hobby Lobby. All the glitter.
Oh yeah, right. So what I like about this,
it's everywhere.
The thing about movie 2 is your editor can be your biggest hero or can fail you, because the movie is really made in the edit. You have the screenplay, and that's a hard gig. Like I do not want J.J. Abrams, Chris Terrio gig of having to write a Star Wars movie. That's a lot of pressure. Okay, we talk about it every week on the show. That's a lot of pressure to meet the expectations and the desires of the fans. Then you go and you shoot the thing, and then you have your director doing the best job of bringing that to life. But timing, like especially with humor, that's all done in the edit. And all these actors are kind of vulnerable to them in the edit room. But I think what it is, ultimately, is this is Adam Driver getting out there and saying, hey, listen, this is the end of a 6-year run. It's been a thrill, and we're going to give you something memorable. And we've heard a lot about what potentially Kylo could be doing, what Rey could potentially be doing, what could potentially happen with Leia, that they're not holding back in this last episode. And I look to Adam Driver as kind of like the leader for episode 9, because I think overwhelmingly he is the fans' favorite in the sequel movies as far as the intensity he brings to Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren feels raw. Doesn't feel refined like a Leia. Doesn't feel like seasoned like Obi-Wan Kenobi, whether that's in the prequels with Ewan McGregor or with Alec Guinness in the originals. There's like a toughness there. And I would best describe Kylo Ren as raw, and I think he is going to be raw in episode 9 when he dies.
So you think on set he's kind of one that floats to the natural leader, like the main star of a TV show kind of does that role? I
think with the younger generation, this new generation of Daisy Ridley, you have John Boyega out there, you have Oscar Isaac, who is an established actor in his own right. I think that there's probably some mentorship, but he's the one that we're hearing talk about the movies. You never hear about Daisy Ridley getting out there. We had John Boyega last week tweet a photo of his hands, but...
Well, I mean, as you know, they're being very secretive about this film in general. But
as always.
It's one of those things where if they think an actor is a risk of leaking too much, or maybe Daisy likes to talk too much, or maybe John likes to talk too much, so maybe that's what they're going, hey, you need to tone it down a bit.
It cannot be as bad as Spider-Man.
Which one?
You're Spider-Man.
When Tom Holland goes on.
Tom Holland just likes to spoil
interviews.
everything. We don't have that problem in Star Wars.
Apparently they don't let him interview with Mark Ruffalo because he does the same thing.
Yeah, they have bad effects on the other. What do you think about the words of Adam Driver, Kylo Ren, the raw villain? What do you think about his words as far as this is the last chance? I think that we've pretty much established, listen, he's not slamming the previous 2 movies by any means. He's just saying it's been a fun 6-year run. This is our last chance to really give the fans an incredible adventure. And I think that if there's anything that both of these 2 movies of the sequel trilogy have been, it's adventurous. So looking forward to seeing what happens in this final installment in the Skywalker saga this December. It's here. It's 2019. Let us know what you think in the live chat, or if you're catching us on the rewind, let us know down in the comments below. I want to dive into the live chat real quick. Just shout out a couple people out that are with us now. Ganon136. We have Discovery Bay Comics. We got Tacoma Comics. We got Big Lion Cat 646 with us. Really happy that everyone is here. We also have Nemesis Prime. He says, Tom Holland, loose lips. That's innuendo if I've ever heard it. Next topic here on Real Talk. We're on a Sunday, January 27th. So glad that you're with us today. Mark Hamill trolls us. Speaking of Kylo Ren, did he give away his fate on Twitter?
I don't know. So the tweet reads, "Congratulations, Adam, on your well-deserved Oscars nomination for Black Klansman, playing a good man only pretending to be evil. Hashtag just saying."
So, he's not wrong about what he's saying about Adam Driver's character in Black Klansman, which is an exceptional movie if you have not seen it already. And congratulations to Adam Driver for getting that. Now, it's incredible when you think about the talent over time that has been in the Star Wars franchise. It's ridiculous. And here is Adam Driver just building up his stock with the nomination. Now, he might not win this category. Fierce competition this year.
Just getting nominated is a big deal,
that's such
though.
an achievement in itself. So super cool to see Adam Driver because he plays it raw. That's going to be the hashtag for this episode. Raw. Anyways, so please don't. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. That's also innuendo.
Raw potential.
I love this tweet because it is typical Mark Hamill, Jesse.
I know.
How many times do we get him on Twitter? These little nuggets.
He's trolled me
With that little
last year.
Oh, that's right. Didn't he tweet at you?
Yes, I asked him what his favorite color of milk was, and he said green, and it was St. Patty's Day. I didn't put the 2 and 2 together until the next day.
That's a cool thing, though. It's like,
Yeah.
he's always on Twitter making jokes, and he's always on Twitter and engaging with fans. And like, what a great time to be a fan.
Yeah.
Like, think about those people that were in 77 and then died like the next week. They never had a chance to have these moments. And that's really selfish of me to point out. But I'm just saying, like, it's a fun time to be a selfish nerd. I love it. I see how and why Mark would do this because there's a lot of speculation. Jesse, a lot of people think Kylo Ren's going to be a good guy by the end of this movie. Do you buy into that? And do you think that's a factor of why Mark Hamill tweets this way?
If he's a good guy, he's really going the distance. I mean, let's. I'm sorry, Dad. I gotta kill you here with my lightsaber to sell the image. But I don't know. I really think I don't think he's a good person. I think he's definitely fell way off the.
I don't think
rocker.
we need redemption for him. I think this needs to end where there's a definitive bad guy, and I think the moral of the story needs to be there is a chance for redemption, but there's also a chance where you just go too far and that's it, game over.
I think here's my thing though, which I've been saying for a long time. Vader got redeemed, okay, but that was the tragedy of Anakin Skywalker. He fell to the dark side of the Force. He was consumed, and he's brought back. Boom. So that's his story. I don't think we need to see the same thing repeat itself with Kylo Ren. Some people are just bad. I made this point last week. I'm going to go ahead and say it again. Hitler is responsible for 30 million people dead. If he would have cut a check to the Salvation Army right before he died, the world's not like, we get it and you're forgiven. No. You take the money and then you still shoot him. Like, that's just what happens. It's Hitler. Like, there's no coming back from. And that's how I view Kylo Ren in the franchise, is because not only has he killed a lot of people, which I know Vader has been responsible for killing a lot of people, and he was there with, part of the reason, Alderaan gets blown up in A New Hope. Like, I get that. You're talking about a guy who's killed maybe billions, maybe trillions of people.
It's also worth pointing out, too, because, if this has kind of been brushed on in books, too, with Leia taking a lot of backlash for Anakin being her father, or Darth Vader being her father.
Right.
Even if had Anakin survived, his wounds and everything and Return of the Jedi, he would have been viewed as a war criminal. He could have been facing death or something, just in general, just as you mentioned. He was an accessory to Alderaan being blown to billions of bits. Yes, it's great that he had that redeeming moment, but we don't need a repeat.
I agree with you, David. What's your take on this? Especially considering the fact, like we've said, like he killed Han Solo. Like it's what Han Solo won. Like ultimately Harrison Ford wanted Han Solo to die, and I think that's what the story needed to take it. But he killed Han. He almost kills Leia.
I'm a firm believer there should not be redemption for him. Yeah. If there's redemption, it needs to be a Darth Vader where he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and dies. But the world still needs to see him as a villain.
So redemption as death.
If they're going to do redemption, it needs to be redemption as death.
And I like what he's saying here because if you've read the novel Bloodlines, you know that even after Darth Vader's death and after the New Republic is established, Darth Vader is still taboo. Because when it's revealed in the novel to like the galaxy that Leia is actually the daughter of Vader, and it's a scandal, and she loses her rank in the office, and ultimately it's what leads her to start forming the beginnings of the Resistance. Great book by Claudia Gray. If you have not read it, if you're looking for a next Star Wars read that's in the new canon, you got to read Claudia Gray's Bloodlines. Also Princess of Alderaan, also Lost Stars. We have the Qui-Gon Jinn Obi-Wan. It's such a great time to be a fan. We'll just keep saying it again. Look, what do you think, though? We want to know what you think about Mark Hamill's tweets. Is he just messing with the fans? Do you think it's a slight insert for all of us to discuss? I'd have to think if he really gave something away, Disney, there would be some kind of action, some kind of statement. Mark Hamill would be off Twitter. You know, there would be something if he gave away, you know, the grand ending of Episode 9.
This Twitter account has been closed.
That would be really unfortunate. Who's going to respond to all my tweets when I find, like, every year I go to the same collector where we live. He has a set version of the original Skywalker hilt from the 77 set. And every year he lets me come by and hold it for 5 minutes. And I always tweet the photo to Mark, and Mark always likes it back. It's like a little tradition thing. You know, just sharing with you. See, you're part of it. See, we're friends. And I'm going to tell you all the lame stories I tell all my friends because we're friends, and that's how this works. Next topic. Let's go. Real talk. We're having a great time. Sunday morning. Here we go. Solo: A Star Wars Story, nominated for visual effects. Oscar. This is a pretty huge accomplishment. Visual effects supervisor Rob Rideau shared a video of his household watching the nominations. Let's go ahead and cue that up if we can have it. And he's sitting there with his family, and they're like all really stressed out, and this guy loses it. The family just loses it, like loud. And they're clapping, and they're happy. And why the heck would you not be? It's a great for the nomination, but like the competition is ridiculous. You have Avengers: Infinity War, Christopher Robin, First Man, and Ready Player One, which those who saw Ready Player One all say that it was visually...
Oh, it was stellar.
Story...
Did you see it?
I did see it.
Did you read the book about it?
No, and that's maybe
I've read the book. It's actually pretty good.
But that's not what we're not really talking about. The story.
Visually, yeah.
I'm just saying, like, if we're talking about visual effects, so that's its strength.
I mean, there are a lot of things I think Solo did phenomenally well. Some very iconic moments that I'm gonna have as like my top VFX in the Star Wars universe come from Solo.
Okay.
But I think Ready Player One is probably gonna get the win on that.
See,
one.
I'm going to say no. I think it's Infinity War's game. And I'm not trying to be rude to Rob. I'm not trying to be rude to the folks over at ILM. But when you think about it, Jesse, you saw Infinity War. Thanos, for a purple dude with a really weird chin, looked real.
Yeah, we know where you're going with that one.
Yeah, but at the same time, you could argue that Ready Player One, you saw that same kind of visual effects, and you get triple the amount of effects in Ready Player One in comparison.
So you're really going to tell me that Ready Player One is going to be out the Avengers in this category?
If it were up to me, looking at all the fine details, that's what I would choose.
Oh, come on, live chat. Help me out here, please.
Here's what I think is going to happen with Infinity War. If you look back at The Lord of the Rings, they won Best Motion Picture for Return of the King in 2003.
Right.
But I firmly believe that the middle movie, The Two Towers, was phenomenally by far the best of the three. But it got snubbed at the Oscars because they made a big campaign for Return of the King to wrap up the trilogy and give that movie all of the accolades. So if you're looking at Avengers movie, we've had Avengers Age of Ultron, Avengers Infinity War, and it's going to cap off with Avengers Endgame. I'd be willing to bet that they're going to put all of their lovin', all of their campaigning towards Endgame for next year's award season.
I watched Avengers last night, and I watched Solo last night because I wanted to make sure that I was accurate in saying this for this conversation. One, I love Solo. There are great moments. I love that open scene in Corellia where you're tilting up and you're seeing the pieces of the destroyer being sent up into the atmosphere. Love that scene. When you have the Kessel Run, it's phenomenal. I love the world building with the planets. Like even at the very end where he's in the Lando's in the tropical paradise. So subtle thing, would not win an award for it, but like, you know, there was realness, there was texture there. But the first scene of Infinity War to me wins that movie, like wins that category, because you have him there, he's dragging Thor, you have just like the cosmos in the background, like it's all ridiculous. You have the Rainbow Bridge pop out, you know, right before they stab the guy in the chest. I don't know, like I just think it's like, I know it's a Star Wars show, and I probably should be rooting for Solo, but I just. No movie can withstand, I think, the Avengers.
You know, it's still a great thing, you know, again, to get that nomination.
Oh, my gosh, it's a great feather in the cap.
Huge thing. But at the same time, I feel like there's potentially biased when it comes to, you know, the Oscars and everything. There's things that... The sad I look at it as, well, Infinity War is probably going to get it because it's Infinity War. You know?
I don't know. I still think it's going to be...
David, and that's fine. What I love about this is you have, like, two different opinions. Yeah. And that's why we like the show, is because we all don't think the same way. I think that's why we have so much fun. Listen, I would love it if Solo won. I think Solo is a great Star Wars story, and I think it's one that I think a lot of fans are going to be discovering for many years and be like, man, why didn't I see this movie sooner? You know, I think that's what's going to happen.
Become a cult classic type thing?
I think so, because I would go Rogue One, Force Awakens, Solo, and The Last Jedi is somewhere after those three. But that's for me. That's my personal list. Let us know your personal list in the chat or in the comments down below if you're catching us on the rewind. Anything we missed there?
I don't think
so. I teased at the beginning of this part of the conversation that one of my favorite Star Wars VFX came out of this movie, so I should probably clarify. When they're leaving Kessel and they're going through that big like tube of clouds and the Star Destroyers coming at them.
And then those TIE fighters blow out. Oh, that's amazing. And then there's like that bank move that he makes where he like takes the TIE fighter and he throws it out of the cosmos, because I think they're not in hyperspace, they're on the Kessel Run, right?
Yes.
Like they're on the run, and Han does like this bank move where he like flips over the Millennium Falcon like a pancake, and he just bumps this TIE fighter out and just gets blown up. It's awesome.
If I'm thinking of the Disney era VFX, the two that jump out at me are that one and in The Force Awakens when they're over with Maz Kanata, and their the First Order comes, and we see the like three TIE fighters come in with the orange sun setting in the background.
Yeah.
Like those are the two moments in the Disney era that are just like, whoa.
Jesse, what's one scene that gets you hot and sweaty? It makes you have to get, you know, a bag of ice. Because your head's getting so sweaty.
Honestly, I think my favorite Solo movie is the like final showdown.
Okay, yeah, I can get
with
that.
Dryden Voss and
I like
everything.
that. The shot where the ship comes by the coastline there as Han just stares back up at Kira is gorgeous.
That's another good one too.
I like the classic Western where it's that medium shot of his hand going to the holster with Enfys Nest.
Yeah.
Which Enfys Nest is like an awesome character, and I see some people on the internet like Enfys Nest is lame. BS. She should have her own comic. There should be a book following that rebellion sect. Love that character.
Hopping to the live chat, Count Von Strange IV said that he rewatched both the movies that we were talking about, Solo and Infinity War, and that Solo didn't seem to go over very well, but he liked it regardless.
JLS says he liked the Mud Troopers. Tacoma Comics says the end of Solo with Maul was amazing. Yep.
Aggressively Relaxing agrees with Jesse and I that it's probably going to go to Ready Player One. So great for being on the winning team there.
Well, good points too, though. And this is something that we didn't say. Spielberg directed
and
iconic
it's nods
movies
to his movies.
Yeah,
celebration of cinema. I like that. We may have to steal that phrasing.
A lot of people in the chat. Gannon 136 gave his list of Disney era Star Wars movies.
At the bottom of that one.
Solo's at the bottom of it. He goes Rogue One, Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and Solo.
You know what? I would probably rate it similar. I'd probably flip-flop The Last Jedi and Solo.
And I think that's fair, too. Ooh, listen to this. JLS drops in just now saying, I wish we get more Shadow Collective in a movie.
What's the Shadow Collective?
Jesse, the Shadow Collective. Help me out here. JLS.
I'm the casual Star Wars guy, so what's that?
It's unfortunately, I hate to say it, it's not ringing a bell for me.
The Shadow Collective is... so it's with the Mandalorians, right? Are you looking it up, David? This
I
is the
am.
fun thing about internet too, is we can just pull it right up.
It's probably something I know by sight.
They were a criminal alliance founded during the Clone Wars by Darth Maul at the behest of Mother Talzin. Later a rival of the Sith Order.
Oh, right. That was like Maul's thing that he did with Pre Vizsla. Remember?
Yeah.
So we'll get some of that in Clone Wars.
It sought to defeat both the Confederacy and the Republic.
Yeah, Ganon 136 actually brings up, we're probably going to get some of that in Clone Wars Season 7.
Yeah, you're talking about like the alliance that they initially had.
Yeah,
Because then you have like
Pike
the whole
and
Crimson Dawn thing too, and Solo discussed.
Yeah.
So.
They tried to bring together the Death Watch, Black Sun, Pike Syndicate, the Hutt Clan, and the Night Brothers to form a base of power.
Which is interesting. Well, and then we know that the Night Owls are the Mandalorian sect that's led by Bo-Katan. And she's trying to bring. They're kind of like the peacekeepers. They're the ones that don't team up with Maul after the takedown of. Help me out, Obi-Wan's girlfriend.
Pre Vizsla.
No, not Pre Vizsla.
Bo-Katan defects from Death Watch.
Right,
the
but I'm
moment that
talking about the
Pre Vizsla is
ruler of
executed.
Mandalore.
I mean, that is her sister, Satine.
Yeah, there we go. I was trying to talk about
Satine.
Satine because Satine is killed by Maul, and then
Satine-
that's what triggers the defect between the two, as we see play out in Clone Wars, is because the one side goes with Maul, and then Bo-Katan and her peeps, they shoot up and they blow out of there. They run away. That's what happens. All right, cool. Let's go to the next topic. Here's what we might see as far as Mandalorian footage.
Ooh.
Jesse, I'm going to be honest. I thought that excitement would be a little bit more. So here's how this is working out. April 11th is the start of Star Wars Celebration. Okay. It's also the same date as Disney's Investor Day. Variety's digital editor Todd Spangler took to Twitter earlier this week to report that Disney is planning to demo its new streaming service at its Investor Day, quote, including first look at some of the original content for that streaming service. And it just so happens this event falls on the date of April 11th. So that is interesting for a few reasons. One, because it is a fair assumption that that one of these projects they're talking about is The Mandalorian, because it's been slated as one of the first projects to be on the streaming service when it drops, along with the final season of the Clone Wars. There was also an Entertainment Weekly piece that dropped recently as well, saying that that verified that point. It's that the premiere of the show will coincide with the launch of the streaming service. So, Jesse, April 11th, to get some Mandalorian action, or at least by the end of Star Wars Celebration, it seems like a real possibility if this video is going to be made present to the investors. What do you think?
Definitely. The only thing I don't know if we'll see it on the 11th, because since it's kind of like opening ceremony day for Celebration. From what I understand, there's not a lot going on that first day.
Yeah, Wednesday's kind of like just like, hey, like, do you want to check out what's on the floor?
So, I mean, it'd be great. It'd be really cool, because I think we're all planning on heading up Thursday morning, if I recall correctly. But I'm excited for it. And I mean, again, we're probably going to get teased with that. We're going to get a teaser for Episode 9, probably for sure, of some kind, at Celebration. So I'm looking forward to it, and I'm excited to see what other things that they bring to this streaming service. That
Sounds to me like The Mandalorian is going to get better marketing than Solo did.
Well, it definitely seems that way.
Not that that's too hard.
Well, is it a thing, though, because we're seeing Lucasfilm and Disney with the Star Wars product, all focus is going to streaming. Everything is going to TV. I mean, we're seeing this with news of Star Wars Resistance already being renewed for a second season. We know that we're investing in Clone Wars, Mandalorian, Cassian Andor, going to the streaming as well. And we have not heard anything in a long time about Benioff and Y series movies, and we expect that, right? We know that they're not starting on their Star Wars until April, after the beginning of the final season of Game of Thrones. Nothing about Rian Johnson's trilogy.
hope it's canceled.
No. What was that?
What?
I think I heard a bird fly over. So I'm fascinated. Will we get some information on those two projects? I'm not sure, but it looks like right now Lucasfilm Disney wants every Star Wars fan's attention to migrate from the big screen to their streaming device.
I think it's interesting. George Lucas was one time quoted as in saying something along the lines of he was unhappy with like the state of like movies and theaters, how it was beginning to cost too much money and everything, and that he actually felt like the series, Band of Brothers, Game of Thrones was actually going to end up being like the future of like film and storytelling.
I'm 100% behind that. 100%.
And it's interesting to see Disney they're bringing the service and they're kicking it off with the Mandalorian and everything. So I'm excited to see basically that live action. I don't know, 10 hours worth
well,
of
that's
story.
the thing, and we still don't have the details as far as like the length of the episode, but we know that there's 10 episodes that are made. But now what I'm confused about is, and if anyone in the live chat knows this, there's a rumor that it's a limited series, like it's not like a season 1 that can be picked up for a season 2. Like there's a rumor that it's just gonna be like this, and I'm like, there's no way.
No, with as much hype as they're putting into this, I mean, Pedro Pascal, I mean, all the A-list team that they had working on this.
And you think about who they have behind the camera on several of these episodes.
Bryce Dallas Howard and
well, Dave Filoni's doing the first episode. You're gonna have Taika Waititi, who did Thor Ragnarok.
Yep.
You're gonna get. That's just gonna be. I can't fathom
here's
that.
The thing. If it's good, Disney's not gonna say, "Whoa, we're gonna stop this cash cow." That's not Disney's MO.
That's like making the best flavor of ice cream ever known to mankind, and it's like a 2-day special, and you're never gonna see it again.
Now, I could see them putting out something every other year with this show. I could see them having this really star-studded who's who of Hollywood directing and writing the first season, and then maybe the second season go to a more traditional writer's room putting the show together for continuing seasons.
We've talked about Star Wars, like the year of Star Wars is 2019. With the end of the saga, you have all these streaming shows that have been announced. You have the animation picking up. You have all this comic stuff that's been dropping. I mean, because there's been so much comic news dropped in the last couple of weeks, I had a conversation with Jordan, our director. I was like, I think I've got to do a second. We got to do a second show now, and it has to be just comics because there's so much of that dropping now. We just don't have time in the shows to talk about it all. And I think that every panel they have at Celebration, there's a chance for a huge drop, and all it is going to be building more and more excitement. And I think what you do is you're going to get your first look at Mandalorian. You're going to get something for Cassian. You're going to get something more with Clone Wars. I think there's a chance that they let us maybe at least one episode of Clone Wars watched at Celebration. I bet there's a chance. Sometimes, remember, in the past, they would drop 2 episodes at a time as a premiere, but we're dealing with, we believe, our longer episodes.
Did they do that with Rebels?
Yeah, the first 2 episodes would be back to back.
They got to watch.
And you'd have a full hour. So I'm just saying, if the episodes of Clone Wars are still 22 minutes, you might get 2. If the episodes are longer than that, you might just get, but still, that's huge. And every panel, just more and more hype. More and more, until the very end, you show everybody the episode 9 trailer, and everybody lights cigarettes and sits down. Oh my gosh. Like the amount of CO2 that's going to be let out in that place after that. Oh my gosh.
I'm trying to find some stats on it, and I can't find it. But I wanted to see some of the other streaming shows on Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hulu, DC Universe, to see when they renewed. And Titans got renewed about halfway through the debut of their season. Sabrina, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina on Netflix, they got renewed 3 days after it dropped. Before they decided to cancel all of them with the Marvel Netflix, they were getting renewed within a week or 2 of them actually premiering. So, and I think even in the comments, Gannon136 says that limited series has a new meaning in Hollywood where it's just that this could be temporary, and let's see how many subs we get first. So, and that could very well be the thing because it's, as a country, we're moving more and more towards that gig economy where people don't necessarily stay attached to Disney or Warner Brothers or Fox for their entire career, that they can just hop around and, oh, look at that, this opportunity is back again, we'll just stick with it.
And Gannon's probably, he's had to mention that a few times for me, is because the limited series, like you just mentioned, it has kind of been redefined. Want us to say thanks. That live chat right now is just ripping through. It is so awesome seeing everyone contributing in there. JLS, for example, just says that the biggest event he thinks for the year, or the second biggest event of the year, is the opening of Galaxy's Edge, the theme park, not the comic book, he says. Definitely the theme park opening. And I think we're going to get some more information about that. Right now, the Millennium Falcon exteriors look about 3/4 completed in some leaked images. So
I'm still waiting for news about my private sector.
Your sleeping quarters?
My sleeping quarters.
You probably get Lando's bed, but I'd be kind of worried about
what happens.
wash
the sheets first.
He seemed to get around.
Well, I don't know. Robots seem pretty.
Oh my gosh!
Motor oil.
Thank you. We tread that line of PG real close sometimes. Let's go to the last topic of Real Talk. We are having a blast. Lots to get through this week, and we're so glad you're with us. Star Wars Resistance, new images, and a clip from Sunday's upcoming episode, The Doza Dilemma. And the next episode of Star Wars Resistance, it airs tonight on the Disney Channel. We have a clip that I wasn't able to get into the show, but a quick rundown is, in The Doza Dilemma, Synara settles into life on the platform. We're talking about Colossus. That is the platform where all these characters are hanging out in this series. She's contacted by some pirates for a new mission, and that is to target Tora Doza, who is the captain's daughter. Captain Doza, who is partially in line with the First Order. And so I've mentioned it on the last 2 episodes, and to get Jesse and David kind of up to speed here, well, then again, you watch the episodes, you know what I said. But my point is, the mid-season trailer did such a great job of thrusting the First Order in our face that the first 2 episodes of the second half of Season 1, if you can follow that, have kind of been a letdown for me because it's so little. And I really thought that we were taking a turn in the second half of a lot of First Order. Let's get to The Force Awakens. We know in that trailer that we see Hux giving the speech on Starkiller Base. So there is even a chance that Star Wars Resistance in time can take us beyond Force Awakens, beyond The Last Jedi. That's insane to think about. But I am going to watch this episode because I am excited. You get Captain Phasma popping in there. You're getting that First Order presence. We're getting that shot of Starkiller Base with that Star Destroyer. And in the episode preview, you watch it. The Star Destroyer is like sliding towards you on camera. It is a cool shot. And again, it seems like anything with the ship, especially in space, that's where this new this new art style really shines for me. I have really done almost a 180 on the stylings of Star Wars Resistance. So check that out. I'll be watching it tonight. We will talk about it next week. That's usually how this thing goes.
I plan on binge watching Season 1 since we've completed that. I've got next weekend off. I got such a hefty to-do list next weekend. It's crazy, but
hey, man, life is. But again, we're in that binge culture, and that's why I'm really fascinated. Going back to the streaming service, is how is Lucasfilm going to release these shows? Is it going to be a dumpster dumping, and you're going to get all 10 episodes of The Mandalorian, or do you get one a week, or do you get all the episodes of Star Wars Clone Wars, or do you get one a week?
I think they're going to give us one a week, but I would much prefer a dump.
That's. Yeah, well, yeah.
Eight, well, I mean,
the shows.
I'm thinking, probably one a week.
It's a good chance. It's definitely a good chance. Want to know, if you're watching Star Wars Resistance, are you like me? Has your perception of this show changed? We know this show is for the kids. You can tell in the way the story is told. It's a little slower paced, rather, not as complex of a story. But I'm telling you guys, visually, this is really picked up. I'm excited for a couple of the ships that are going to be Lego sets. We'll talk about that in the next segment. Star Wars Resistance is really taking a turn, but let's take the story on that turn too. That's all I'm asking. Is I want to get away from. I don't care about random alien creatures. I want to see the First Order. I want to see that Hux speech. And when we talk about, we like stories that take place elsewhere in the galaxy. We don't always have to be on the main timeline, but it is so cool when those events outside of the main track look back. Mm-hmm. And so now we're going to see the reaction of people on different planets reacting to Hux's speech on Starkiller Base. And that's nuts to me. Like, that blows my mind.
That's pretty cool.
I'm so excited. It's going to be a lot of fun. Let us know what you think down in the comments below. Okay, I talked about it. Star Wars Resistance, a couple ships are going to be Lego sets. We got new sets. We got new prices. We've got more EA drama. Apparently there was going to be Knights of the Republic 3. Apparently it was going to be a thing. But EA says no. We're going to talk about it next here on Beyond the Blast Doors, episode 56. You're watching live.
All wings report in. Brand new Beyond the Blast Door collector pins are now in stock. Help spread the word about the Beyond the Blast Door Star Wars conversation by picking up a brand new exclusive show pin. Pins are only $8. Order and pay online at BeyondTheBlastDoors.com. Movies, TV, comics, toys, cosplay. Beyond the Blast Doors, a Star Wars conversation.
Okay, we take that 20-second break to remind you of a great way that you can support our show, support our channel, and we appreciate all those who already have. The Boffmans who are watching have their Beyond the Blast Door pins, or if they don't, it's in the mail. But we've had a few people reach out, sending us photos of getting their pin, and they're really excited about it, and it just makes us, well, I don't want to speak for you guys. I think it makes all of us feel like really special because This is just a passion project. You know, you mentioned Jordan. You know, we bring Jordan along into this, and we're growing in a lot of different ways. And it's really cool that people just really dig our Star Wars conversation. And I dig that's what we do. You know,
it's
a lot of people
really encouraging.
Yeah,
you know, because it's so tough in this market and everything. So getting that kind of support and those tweets and everything, it's just they get you really pumped.
And
you know, when you're doing this. So
and like the payoff is that because you know, as we elevate our game, you're watching us more. Like we're seeing that in our numbers. Like it's crazy the growth that we're getting. We're trucking to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of April, which it's not like our priority. Honestly, the moment that we started crushing it was we stopped caring about the number, and we were just like, we want to bring consistent, unique, fun content. And once that happened, it was like, oh, that's right. That's what we're supposed to be focusing on. Yeah. We had to learn. YouTube is tough. But really thank you for supporting our Star Wars conversation. First topic, we've got to play catch up here because these boys have not been with us for a couple of weeks. And so I want to get their take on this. And, Jordan, let's go ahead and leave this graphic up for a while because we've got a lot of new, and I want the live chat freaking going crazy on this, okay? A new TIE Fighter focused comic to start in April that is going to be crossing over with Alphabet Squadron novel by Alexander Freed, the image you see on the left. And then we also get this new Galaxy's Edge comic with this Gore fellow. He is a collector of eccentric items, and they're dangerous items. And I have my theory about this guy that is going to rock. Listen, Ithorians don't get wasted in Star Wars canon, okay? They're always somebody. Okay, whether that's even going back to the no longer canon 2003 Clone Wars, the Ithorian Jedi that like blows air down the hallway to block Grievous. It's nuts. Okay, so anyways, there's all this new stuff just dropped randomly. Talked about it on Beyond the Panel, Thursday nights, 6 p.m. Central. I want to start with you, Jesse. What's getting you the most excited?
The novel.
Oh yeah. Okay, so let's talk about this because we're following this rebel group of. It's an A wing, it's a Y wing, it's a U wing, and it's an X wing, B wing. They're tracking this new, highly sophisticated group of Imperial troopers / fighters. What are you digging here? What's getting you excited?
As a kid, I have always loved Star Wars ships. That's the first thing that drew my attention in Star Wars: A New Hope, seeing it the first time, especially seeing the X-wing. You know, that moment when they're getting ready to attack the first Death Star. So anything dealing with like a squadron or something, and this ties in exactly with the TIE Fighter comic too. I just love Star Wars ships. Just, you know, the lore that you know that's come up and everything that's been built up. You know, like what this part of the ship does and everything, and then just even the pilots. You know, especially on the TIE Fighter part, because we know how flimsy those things are. So, are they crazy, or are they just that good to where? You know, they're so dangerous that as a pilot,
these new,
like I'm excited to see what this brings.
Dude, I love the excitement that you're bringing about this because your enthusiasm is contagious. What I love about these troopers, so they're called Shadow Wing. These are these Imperial fighters that Alphabet Squadron is trying to track. And so what we understand is TIE Fighter #1, which drops in April, is going to be like the first. It's going to tie into it. It's going to happen before the events, I believe, of this Alphabet Squadron novel by Alexander Freed. And I'm thrilled about it because it's like we said, it's like the second Death Star has just been destroyed, okay? Empire's trying to figure out what the heck's going on, and now you're going to have this like cat and mouse chase, and I'm just really excited to see how this comic supports that novel because we haven't had this kind of crossover before. We've had novels that get adapted, but we've never really had a comic come first to set up a book. Now, we've had books set up movies. We've had Catalyst set up Rogue One, which was, like, so good. Like, if you still haven't read Catalyst, that is a great novel for you to read. It deepen your knowledge of all those great characters from Rogue One. You know, when people tell me that we just don't know enough about X, Y, and Z people in Rogue One, I say, BS. I go, you read that Rogue One novel, you read Catalyst, knowledge. So, Shadowing sounds really great. I love how we're getting, like, these Imperial... special ops teams. I think of Battlefront 2 with Inferno Squad. Yeah. I just got that Lego battle pack, by the way.
I saw.
I did that. I did a live build last week.
You have a mini Janina.
I have a mini Janina Gavankar, and I didn't build a vehicle because it was missing 2 pieces that were critical to the vehicle. But
Are you serious?
I just
Wow.
wanted the minifigs anyway, so it's fine.
I know, but I've never not gotten all the parts
it's
for a
crazy.
Lego set. That's
it's
crazy.
But anyways, yeah, I like how we're getting like another like specialty group within the Empire, because like there's like that structure. You know, you have like 20,000 Star Destroyers. You had 2 Death Stars. You have all this rule over all these planets. Like, how did that military work? You know, diving into that more.
A lot of shopping malls, I bet.
Can you imagine like the retailer who gets the contract to build like the armor, for example? Like
Yeah,
that's
like-
you're breaking open some Corellian wine that day. You're like, we just locked in the Empire.
That was actually one thing I did like about The Last Jedi was how...
and like the executioner troopers. And
no, they were on... what's his name? Why I'm drawing because his character's not that significant.
Are you drawing a blank? Do you need a pen?
Yeah.
Well, while you think on that, I want to get David's take of these 3 things. What excites you the most between the comic book, the book, and then the Galaxy's Edge comic?
The Galaxy's Edge comic to me is the most exciting.
Okay.
Because we know from what they've teased us with that this is going to be very immersive. This is definitely going to be for people like Jesse who are into the role play kind of things. And so they are literally setting up a theme park by introducing a comic. And to me, that's really cool. So it's going to follow some main character who's going to go do some stuff. Should be kind of exciting.
Thor.
Yeah.
Oh, he's looking
Doc
Ondor.
Yeah. So I think that's going to be really cool. I'm looking forward to that because then you can get a little taste of what's coming before you actually make your family trip out there to enjoy it. So that's the one that I'm looking forward to. I'm interested in the TIE Fighter one. I think that'll be neat. We'll see what happens. I'm still riding that high from the Darth Vader comic that Charles Soule put out over the last couple years. So for me, I'm still going to read it. I'm still going to check it out. But the bar is set really high. So are either one of these going to be able to hit that for me?
I don't know if you caught it on the last episode of Beyond the Panel, issue number 3. My theory is this guy is how Maz Kanata ends up with the Skywalker saber.
Okay.
This is my theory because we talk about how he has eccentric items. They're dangerous. They come from far and wide. And I'm looking at this guy. He's got like a lot of jewelry and he's got like all these bags around him. So like my theory is he somehow gets into possession of the saber and he knows Maz Kanata because Kanata's been around for 1,000 years or whatnot. Maybe they like went on a couple of dates. Maybe they broke out the Corellian wine together and then she took the hilt because it was a bad date or something. I don't know how that went down.
Do you think he had it just like Luke's hand, like on the shelf where it was like displaying the lightsaber?
There's no way. Well, you know, originally the idea to start Force Awakens was like the hand tumbling in time, and then the Star Cruiser, that Star Destroyer was going to crash into Jakku. Like it was like time jump. Yeah, that was like an original concept. So yeah, what do you think about all these new things happening? I'm probably most excited for the TIE Fighter #1, just because that cover that we showed you is gold. Love the colors. Love the battle happening in the background. All the ships having their dog fights. Love that. Let us know in the live chat you watching on the Rewind. Let us know down in the comments below. Okay, Star Wars what?
Oh, no.
What?
Number
Star Wars
60.
number 60?
Yep.
I want to dive into that.
Yeah.
Because I want to do something different because usually when we talk about comics, we're giving you like the play-by-play of these comics. No, we're just going to show. We're going to show you the what's inside the comic, and we're going to talk about a specific element. Because if you want the deep dives into the story, we can do that on Beyond the Panel. So let's roll the video and let's talk about how this comic shows a great example of how the rebellion grows. In the previous arc, before we arrived on the planet Cuban, the rebellion got it handed to them in space. Vader shows up, toys with them, destroys a lot of their numbers. Okay, rebellion's forced to scatter. We end up on Cuban. And it's like this weird farm 1950s vibe planet. And so here we are. Scar Squadron is back. For those of you who don't know, it's led by the Stormtrooper with a lightsaber. Not my favorite. He has to duel Luke. But what I like about this is how this plays out is, you know, Luke's able to get away. The rebels are able to get away. But the native leader stalls in time to where like the men, the women, the children, the families get to escape with the rebels as well. They actually hijack Scar Squadron's shuttle. What I like about this is it's showing how the rebellion has rebuilt over time. Here you have our heroes, Han, Luke, Leia, find this random planet, earn the trust of a civilization that had only known the Empire beforehand, sees which side is actually doing what's right for the galaxy, and they're like, listen, we're going to make a sacrifice today so that you can live on. And that to me is such Like that makes total sense. Like that would be how the rebellion would continue on, and I really dig that. Really excited to see where these characters pop up. You know, what people from Human are heroes down the line for our rebels. Like that's really exciting to me. It's also just a really exciting time for the Star Wars line. We know that Kieran Gillen, she only has a few issues left. I think it's 67 that she's wrapped up. She gets one more arc, I think, and then she's done writing. Still haven't named who's taking it over. My money's on Charles Soule. Like that's who I want real bad. Charles Soule, the guy who wrote that Darth Vader series that David and I don't shut up about. Jesse doesn't shut up about it either. He likes it too. It's so good. Jesse actually read the comics. It's how good it was.
Yeah,
he actually read them.
It was my introduction to comics, really.
And so that's who I'm going for.
We all remember our first.
I know.
I just talked. Oh my gosh! I just talked about why I like the issue.
What was your first comic?
My very first Star Wars comic.
Yeah, no, your very first comic. Like, what got you hooked on comics?
Wow. It was Jeff Loeb, Tim Sale's The Long Halloween.
Batman.
Yeah, it was Batman. I was at the. I just did radio in college, and I had some dudes that I really wanted to like be friends with, and they loved comics, and they hosted. It was called Nerd Word, and they hosted it on the college radio station.
Not creepy at all, but continue.
Right, and so they were cool dudes, and I want to learn from them. You know, it's always finding someone better than you to make you better. And so I asked, I was like, what are the 3 comics I need to read? And they're like, here's the trades you want. He's like, Year One, Halloween, and then The Dark Knight Returns. And so I bought all those, and yeah, I was hooked. First Star Wars comic, though, I think was Darth Vader Lost Command. It was a 5-part Dark Horse run back in like 2011, I think. So
Blackest Night was my first.
Oh yeah, I remember you getting that, borrowing it from our friend Colby.
Yep.
So I talked about what I like this issue. Something controversial about this is Krell. He's the Stormtrooper Commando with the green lightsaber, and this is where I want to talk about with you guys is like buy or sell. Like we leave. This issue ends with Scar Squadron stuck on Huban with like these monsters about to attack them, and like I guess they're left in a situation where they could be killed off or they could escape somehow and get off that planet. But like, does this work for you? Like, I like the Republic Commandos. I remember that video game where like you had these like hulkified troopers that were like specialized. But this is like, you know, Krell has a lightsaber. This one trooper has a cape. This other one looks like a 1980s Rock'em Sock'em robot. Does this work for you? Is this a concept that you hope that is left in the past, or can you buy this stormtrooper wielding a lightsaber? I mean, I get troopers knowing like melee combat, but I just feel like it's weird that Vader would let a trooper walk around with a saber.
I mean, I'm trying to think about this. So like I like to pull like things that actually happen in real life. You look at World War II, in particular, Marines taking Japanese katanas as souvenirs. Okay. So it's one of those things where like, do I want to see this like all over the place? No. Mm-hmm. But it does make sense on some level for, well, yeah, maybe there were a few stormtroopers who, I took down a Jedi. I'm taking their lightsaber. That's my souvenir.
Kind of like Grievous mentality.
At the same time, you look in Rebels with the bow staff and everything that Zeb uses and whatnot. And Agent Callus has one. And they're both equally skilled in that, you know, and and you find out that I can't really talk about that. I'm sorry, Bachman.
That's okay. I want to correct myself though. I've been saying Krell. It's Creel.
Oh,
is how you say that character's name. So, just kind of getting me back on topic. Is there anything else that we haven't talked about? Because I feel like we've nipped this in the bud. Do you have an opinion on this? The Star Wars line just hasn't been your favorite.
No, I'm always a fan of lightsabers though, so I'm torn because I don't necessarily need a stormtrooper running around with a lightsaber, but I do like lightsabers, and this is a way that we can get them more.
Done in moderation.
Okay, all right. Yeah. What's your take? Let us know in the live chat. Let us know in the comments below if you're watching us on the rewind.
Upcoming comics?
Yeah, let's do it. Upcoming comics.
January 30th, we'll have the Star Wars Adventures number 17, solo movie adaptation number 4. We'll get part 3 of Dr. Aphra's Worst Among Equals. That's Dr. Aphra 28. If anybody is a fan of just trade paperbacks in general, they're going to come out with The Empire Strikes Back as a graphic novel, which will be really cool. That'll be February 5th. Beginning of February, we'll also get Star Wars 61 and Age of Republic, Anakin Skywalker. What I'm excited about, because it means the omnibus is coming sooner, we'll have the Star Wars Darth Vader comic that we all love. Trade number 4 is coming out, Fortress Vader. That's 6 parts of just deliciousness. And then later in the month, it's great. Later in the month, we'll get more Star Wars Adventures, Imperial Cadet. We'll get the Count Dooku. Start to get close to the end of that solo adaptation. And wrap it up with Dr. Aphra and Star Wars Adventure 19. So that is February. And then we talked a couple episodes ago, beginning of March, Darth Vader comic Dark Visions, number 1 will be March 6th.
I appreciate that update. And I really want to get that omnibus when it comes out, the hardcover. Like, that's going to be, when we talk about books for, like, the end table, or, like, you have the... that's what I'm going to put on mine.
Can we figure
I
out?
have 3
Or no.
really nice books for that. So
I take it back. Nope. They're going to go right here on set because we're going to we need something to lift your Star Destroyer up on.
My 3rd built Star Destroyer.
Yeah, you really need to do another live build, man. We got to get this thing under construction, man. You're getting a lot of shipments from Kessel, man.
Yep.
Or,
What's
Corellia. Corellia.
I should be able to do it this Friday.
We'll figure that out.
Yeah.
What do you know? Let us know down in the comments below about anything of that. We kind of went in a few spots on that, but just really enjoy the comic talk. And I love what's coming down the pipeline, dude. That Darth Vader, the Dark Visions in March. Yep. That's going to be awesome. Let's go to the next topic here in Pages, Pixels, Pieces. Really trying to do a good job of giving you comic talk, video game talk, and Lego talk. And I think Jesse just rolled up his sleeves.
I did.
Okay, because we're talking about EA here, okay? EA would not let BioWare make a new Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic game. With EA having bought BioWare and now owning the license for the franchise, it seemed like it was a no-brainer for them to resurrect the series. But according to Kotaku's Jason Schreier, the plans were blocked not once, but twice. Jesse, you are the gamer.
Yes.
You are the person that loves this franchise. I would be curious to know instant reaction when you find out that it wasn't just one effort. There were multiple attempts to give fans a 3rd Knights of the Old Republic game. How does that make you feel?
It's frustrating because the Old Republic games are fantastic. At the same time, though, knowing some other information might kind of help on this. Currently going on with EA and BioWare is their new title, Anthem, which is they have a live demo going this weekend, and I think all this next week and everything. It's kind of their next AAA game, kind of like a Destiny-like game from what I can gather.
Open world?
Instanced, I think.
Okay, cool.
So I can see if this game looks. I mean, game development takes a couple of years and everything. So if EA was wanting BioWare to focus all their efforts and energy into making sure that this works, I can understand them potentially blocking, going, no, we don't want you to make it now. If it was just like them just being evildoers, kind of thing, that's totally not cool. At the same time, I'm not sure how BioWare would be able to pick up this particular franchise, because you have 1 and 2, and then Star Wars: The Old Republic, which is a continuation of that storyline. So I don't know if they'd be like, no, you've got the MMO. That's what you're going to work with. You need to focus on making that,
And then you get canon issues, right? Because if you make this 3rd game canon and you reference anything in the past, now you're getting into murky waters of, is that actually canon? David, right now, EA is in a lot of hot water with fans because there's been 2 games canceled. We've only got 2 major platform games to show for it. Battlefront 2015.
A mobile game.
The second one. And we have Galaxy of Heroes. Which was for the mobile device.
It's a mobile app device.
As you can hear, I'm not very familiar with it. I know of its existence. I didn't play it because I don't go for my gaming experience on the mobile.
Do you not have a phone, David?
But I don't like phone games. Like, that's not good.
I got that joke.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But, it's like, I want to play it on the PlayStation. I want to play it on the Xbox. I want that quality of story as well. And so, David, we're in a tight situation here because both of those games that we've had for the major platforms have controversy.
Yes. So the first game, Battlefront 2015, did not have a story mode, and then the second one had a a lot of criticism over the story mode, not long enough, not good enough, but then the microtransactions became an issue. So I don't think I've ever seen any sort of flack this big for a video game than what the Star Wars community gave EA about this. Now they've canceled at Knights of the Old Republic twice, and they still have the contract for another 4 years. Unless Disney decides they want to pay to break that. I do know that there's 3 more games in the works when I was doing a little digging. There's going to be a Battlefront 3 at some point. There is a...
There's that ragtag, but I think the ragtag was just
that's Project Ragtag. That was canceled twice.
Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah, Jedi Fallen Order. That one's coming out. That's a game from Respawn. They made Titanfall, which looked really cool.
Right, and that's the game, Jedi Fallen Order. You're going to play as a Jedi who escapes Order 66. You're probably going to get some Vader run-ins there, at least I hope.
That's super cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's my assumption there.
Do you know what platform that's coming out for?
It's coming out for like Xbox, PlayStation.
Probably all platforms.
Well,
not my Nintendo Wii.
Not your Nintendo Wii, but like current gen.
My PlayStation 2
I don't
won't be able to handle
think Battlefront 3 is coming out until you have like that next gen platform.
Probably not. The thing, you mentioned some valid points, specifically, about Battlefront, the Battlefront games. So Battlefront 2015 actually, in some ways, I actually found some of the gameplay more entertaining, especially because it kind of ties in with the current state of BF2. You had a lot of weapon variety to choose from, which kind of allowed a variety of play styles to take place, which was very enjoyable. Fast forward to Battlefront 2, they got extremely slowed down by the microtransaction issue. And the frustration that came from the fans on this, and especially as somebody who played alpha, played beta, was that the current system was like, you can't do this. You're allowing people to use a credit card for progression to actually have an upper hand. They didn't listen. They went forward with it, and I mean, you all know the firestorm that came with it. I mean, we're talking. I mean, all over the world. Belgium, I think, was the first country to actually look into loot boxes and things like that. And there's actually a lot of laws that are in progress about the nature of loot boxes because it's viewed as a form of gambling. With that being said, they took that out. And they had to redo the entire progression system in Battlefront 2, which slowed down the DLC content that they had planned. Now, they've done some really great things we've got the Battle of Geonosis, we've got new heroes, Dooku just came out.
And I want to be careful. Let's not go into I think where the conversation is ultimately heading with there is the fact that, like, how much longer do they pump out the DLC? But
it's how long is that going to go?
We'll talk about that later in fan comment.
So I was curious because you said you probably won't see the game until the next generation of consoles comes out. So I did a little Googling. It looks like Xbox and Nintendo is potentially looking at a 2020 release of a next-gen console.
Okay.
And PlayStation is slated for 2021. But here's another article from Tech Radar that says if they decide to put out the Xbox One in 2020, PlayStation may try to push for a December 19
Interesting.
PS5.
And the Fallen Order video game drops in November. And, David, I need you to look up for me Vader Immortal. I'm pretty when that drops. I think that's the VR experience that just saw Sam Witwer did a walkthrough with some people, and the game just looks stunning. But when does that drop, and then where can we experience that at? I would imagine JLS. Maybe you know something about this since you're the one asking about it in the live chat. If we're going to be able to do that at the theme parks, maybe play there because I don't have VR in my home.
This article says sometime in 2019. Looks like it's going to release for the Oculus Rift.
Okay.
Let me keep looking here.
Okay, Gannon's coming in here saying early 2019, no exact date yet. So my thing is this contract with EA runs until 2023 that we've covered extensively on the show. Last episode, we talked about how there's like an opt-out clause in that contract or there might be, they need to find one.
I believe there was a petition that people were forming to get.
Yeah, but petitions don't do anything.
I know,
but people petition for The Last Jedi to get remade. I mean, those things just don't happen. And I don't want to be too hypercritical, but I think it's a valid point to make. LucasArts pumped out the games, and clearly there were some issues with LucasArts there at the very end that caused for LucasArts to dissolve. But I really like what Gary Whitta is suggesting. He's the writer of Rogue One. He's also a big name in the gaming world. He says that if EA wants like redemption and wants to save their chances of re-upping the contract, they need to find a way to make Knights of the Old Republic 3 happen, and
Make it good.
Make it good, or Disney, Lucasfilm, whoever needs to break this contract and restart LucasArts. Which I would like the latter. I think that's the way to do it.
A little bit of inside information and everything. At the time that Old Republic was coming out and came out, the head of the BioWare division and the head of EA, they did not like each other at all. And of course, unfortunately, the one guy controls the budget and everything, the funds going into that, that division. I don't know if that's still an issue. I've read a lot of interesting things about how EA doesn't really know where to go with this franchise or how to please the fans, and that's why they keep canceling stuff.
And there's the internet. Google it.
Yeah.
What do fans want?
But it's just like, yeah, exactly that. And it's just
Lord.
like, EA is notorious for not listening to the player base. This is the same company that 2 years ago at E3 said that there was no market for a single-player game. Well, guess what? The game of the year was God of War. Single-player game. So what's the issue here? Why are they not getting the message? Players want single-player.
They want the story of the single player.
They want a story.
Which was, to me, the strength of Battlefront 2. I loved that campaign. I just hope that I would love to get more pieces to that story over time if that were possible.
More with it,
Great downloadable content options there. And like Gary Whitta says, like this is like the holy grail of gaming franchises. Star Wars. There's endless potentials.
So much potential.
And he's like, it's embarrassing how they've messed that up. If you want to know more about what Gary Whitta said, episode 55 of Beyond the Blast Doors, catch it on the rewind. It's my staying on target that week. Okay, we need to go to the last topic here. We need to really cycle through these because we still have a few topics left. We're about to hit that hour mark.
Legos.
But I'm excited, Legos, because we're getting a look at the 20th anniversary minifigures. These are the original figures on your screen. But we're going to get replicas of those for the 20th anniversary. So, yes, 20 years ago, Lego Star Wars first began. But we're also getting some updates on the April 2019 wave of sets. So, I'm going to go through these real quick. We've got video to match. The first set is 75236 Duel on Starkiller base. It's going to come with Kylo Ren, Rey, a few features. This is going to be about a $20 set. And it's going to have about 191 pieces. Next set, we have 75238 Action Attack Battle of Endor. This one's interesting to me because they're talking about like different action features with this set. There's going to be 2 bases and 2 shooters. I don't really understand this concept. I wonder if it's like the sets we've had before on Endor where it's like you get like a catapult with some stones and some Ewoks and a scout trooper. I don't know. But the set description says that there is a speeder bike and a high seat for a tree, rebels, or Ewoks. I don't know. About $30 and about 200 pieces. And again, this drops in April. You get the Battle Hoth Attack set. This is going to be about $30 too. 235 pieces. You're going to get Rebel Soldier, Snow Trooper, and this is going to consist of like a turret for the Empire and the generator for the Rebels. So about $35 for the set. That excites me because the only chance to get a generator on Hoth so far has been the UCS set. You get Major Von Rigg's TIE Fighter. He's a character from Star Wars Resistance. He's the red TIE Fighter. It's going to be about $70, 500 pieces.
I'm looking forward to that one. I think that looks really cool.
It's an interceptor, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a modified interceptor, and it's red and it's sexy. We get
haven't had an interceptor in a while.
75241 Action Battle Echo Base Defense. So what we're getting here are 3 rebel soldiers, 2 snow troopers, a droid. This is going to have a small rebel base with a tower and a turret for the Empire. $60, 500, a little more than 500 pieces. Really surprised by that we already have 2 Hoth sets. We get 75242 Black Ace. This is a modified TIE Fighter, kind of like Von Rigg's TIE Interceptor from Star Wars Resistance. And as you might have noticed, that I have like these images like on like hyperspace on your screen. So like eventually it'll time out where we're talking about the same thing as you see on your screen. But if not, use your imagination. It's the power of the Force.
I think that's a really cool looking ship, and I'm not up to date on.
Yeah, you're seeing it on your screen right now. It's gorgeous. Then that means the Slave One is next. Slave One is the 20th anniversary version. This is going to be about $120, a little more than 1,000 pieces. You get Anakin's Pod Racer. That's going to be about $30. and it's going to be about 300 pieces. Another Snowspeeder. So our third Hoth influence set, that's going to be $40. It's probably going to be the same like every Snowspeeder. You're going to get Luke Dak and a Rebel Soldier. The 20th anniversary minifigure Lando Calrissian is in that set as well. There's an unknown UCS set, and there's some speculation that one is going to be the Star Destroyer and another is going to be the Tantive 4. That could be really cool, but still no confirmation on that. That's just rumors circulating. There's also a Imperial Dropship Battle Pack. There is a Clone Scout Walker. This to me is like the one that's from, 2005, I think. It's going to be about $30, 250 pieces. An Imperial Dropship was a battle pack. It's going to be that again. It's going to be about $20. So now we've seen the battle packs go from $10 to $20 now.
If they're going to raise, like, the one thing I noticed with a lot of the battle packs, especially because I was eyeballing your Inferno squad, is that they don't actually give them actual blasters.
Yeah.
If you're going to increase the Lego, if you're listening, if you're going to increase the price on battle packs, I don't want stud shooters. I want actual blasters for my minifigures.
I just don't think that they're going to go back to the regular guns because the stud shooters are so popular and they give like that action ability, which for dioramas it's not even that great because. Well, honestly, though, they are kind of cool because it looks like they're firing. So like, I can see why they keep them around.
Like, have a nice balance with them. Give me some blasters in there. I don't know. But that's what I want.
When you guys heard me rattle off the list, and you saw those all on your screen, the one that stood out to you is Von Rigg's ship, which is that modified red TIE Interceptor.
Yeah,
which
that looks really sharp.
Surprised me. I didn't think that you would like that one because it's from this show. It's from the Resistance.
What I like about it is that it's very much Empire influenced.
Yeah.
And I love the Empire ships, but it's red.
Oh, okay.
So
just something new, huh?
Just something new, something a little different.
And now, Von Reg is the red trooper
right
in Resistance, so that's kind of play. It's not Cardinal. I thought for a little while, I was like, oh, they're going to bring Cardinal into the series? That's interesting, because that would make sense, right? Because of Phasma's involvement. But anyway, a little bit about that. Yep. Jesse, what do you think about 3 Hoth sets in this next wave? Like, doesn't that seem... Hoth sells. There's no denying the Hoth sets sell, but this is a lot. We just got UCS. We got another... I got that one. There's like one right there, from last year.
If you're into building mocks and everything, and in particular the Battle of Hoth, this will probably be the year for you because, Snowspeeder, turrets, you get that, that power generator you mentioned. Out of those 3, I don't have a Snowspeeder, and I actually kind of like the Snowspeeders. I thought that was a really cool moment in Empire. So I might pick that up. The red TIE Interceptor. We haven't had a TIE Interceptor in ages.
Gannon136 in live chat just made this observation. The ship looks like it's actually a TIE silencer, but it's a modified race version of that TIE. So
that sounds about right.
So good catch, Gannon. Love that. Love when the chat is able to add to that conversation. That's what we're doing. We're having a Star Wars conversation. So that's probably the one you pick up.
And you mentioned the Clone Walker.
Yeah.
I like. Not really a big fan of like Kashyyyk clone troopers or anything. Those are kind of like the current ones that are out.
Well, what was weird about the 2005 version was the vehicle was like oversized for the minifigure. I have 3 of them because I loved them, but you didn't get a Kashyyyk trooper with it. You got a red I'm going to say a red commando minifig. It's not. It was just a clone trooper, Revenge of the Sith trooper with red markings. It didn't make a lot of sense.
I just want like white armored clones in it. Maybe like two minifigures with it. Maybe.
I can rock with that.
Yeah.
Jordan, can we throw the original thumb back up of the minifigures, please? Because I want to go through this. I want to reiterate what sets you're going to get these anniversary figures with, because I think these are going to be a hot collectible. Okay, so in the Slave 1 set, Jesse, you're going to get Leia Organa. That was reminiscent of the 7190 Millennium Falcon. In Anakin's Pod Racer set, 20th Anniversary Edition, you're going to get Luke Skywalker from that original X-Wing fighter, which I have at home. You're going to get in the Snowspeeder, like I mentioned before, Lando Calrissian. You'll get, with the Clone Scoutwalker, you'll get Darth Vader, which is the Darth Vader that you got from the TIE Fighter Y-Wing combo set, which people lost their mind. When that set came out, the idea that you were getting 2 ships, people went ape. I do like the new Vader helmet better, though. It's 2 pieces. It's like a lower part around the neck, and then the top comes down. I really do like that. And then the Imperial Dropship Battle Pack, you're getting Han Solo that is reminiscent, of the original Millennium Falcon. So I just want to make sure that I specified that because that's kind of like the new news that we have when it comes to Star Wars Legos or Lego Star Wars. Got to make sure you get it in the right order. People will give you trouble for it. I love the variety of sets. I am disappointed with how much Hoth we. Not that I'm disappointed. It just feels like a lot of Hoth and not enough Clone Wars. You have a golden opportunity here with the 20th anniversary of Lego Star Wars and the 10th anniversary of the Clone Wars. Let's get some sets out there. I mean, we don't have to wait for a new season of Clone Wars to get new Clone Wars sets. Give us another Republic gunship. It sells. Mm-hmm. You know what? If you don't want to give us the gunship Lego, the carrier that with the ATTE, that combo set was
or the
dynamite.
Arc fighter.
They could do the Arc 170 fighter again. They could do the is it the V-wing, the one where the wing comes back up?
You've brought up the Arc 170 a number of times. I think you just are really excited for an Arc 170.
I have some good news.
It's a really cool ship. It's in Battlefront 2.
Can I make you jealous? I found someone who's going to sell me theirs.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
I've been holding that in for months.
I mean, the old one looks good, but considering how they build some of the new, I'm curious how they would actually do a re-envisioned one.
It would be really cool to see.
Yeah.
And I just remember seeing that original from 2005, I think, and I was like, "Damn, that is a nice ship." And I missed it, but I found it.
And the sound they make, one of the sounds that sticks out to me from the prequels is them rolling into the battle.
Yeah.
And everything.
Yeah.
Oh man.
What do you think about these Lego sets for April? Again, these are the rumored prices and listings, but these are being reported by a site, Stone Wars, in Germany. So I think this is pretty legitimate. What do you think about this wave? What do you like? What do you don't like? What's the two sets that you're buying the day they drop? Let us know down in the comments below. Or if you're watching on the live, drop us something in the live chat. My goodness, guys, we are crushing it. I love all the content we're talking about. We just passed the hour mark here on the show, episode 56. It is January 27th. And if you haven't already, smash that thumbs up button. Subscribe if this is your first time checking out Beyond the Blast Doors. And ring the bell so that way when David, Jesse, and I go live or we drop new videos, maybe we're dropping more EA speculation video or more Lego information for the next wave, you're the first to know when those videos become available because you hit the bell. So let's go into the next segment. Stay on target. No, Stashed or Blasted. I'm sorry. I got excited. Stashed or Blasted. We're also going to do a little catch-up here because the guys have been gone away. So I want to get your guys' reaction. Star Wars Celebration 2019 announced more actors and actresses joining us for Star Wars Celebration, including Greg Proops. We got Sam Witwer on there.
I'm so excited for Greg.
There's also, you have the list of folks. Not Ahsoka Tano, I'm sorry. You're getting Shakti with us. You're getting Greg Grunberg with us. We're getting Dodonna from Rogue One with us. We're getting the puppeteer for BB-8. It's a great selection of people. I really would like to meet Sam because I think he's such a fan first. But Greg Proops would be awesome because I loved his announcer in Phantom Menace. Dode or Deed or whatever his name was. Or Fode. I don't know. It was one of those three. Help me out in the live chat. You guys know. But I guess those are my two favorites. Jesse, who you got in Blaster Stash It?
Totally stash it. And I'd like to see Emilia Clarke and maybe some of the solo cast show up too. I hope it's not too late for announcements. Or
where is the Donald Glover announcement? Still waiting for Donald Glover to be locked in.
Emilia Clarke would be great to see. She might be busy with Game of Thrones promotion since that.
She might be. It's the same week kind of thing.
Yeah.
That show's dropping.
Yeah.
So you're stashing it. David, stash it or blast it. And who do you like?
I'm going to stash it. I'm a big fan of Greg Probst. Probst, I really liked him when he would be a guest on Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Oh, yeah.
And he didn't have a big role in Star Wars. Do you remember during the pod race when they had the announcer with the two heads?
Yeah.
He was one of the two heads. He was the one that spoke in, that guy.
Yeah.
He was the one that spoke in English. So
Basic.
I'm excited. Basic. I'm excited for him. That'll be really cool. Sam Witwer, I know him from Battlestar Galactica. He has a small role recurring.
He's also in Supergirl right now, crushing it.
Really?
He mentioned Battlestar Galactica. They used his voice and likeness for Force Unleashed. He's also the voice actor for Darth Maul.
He also did the Emperor in a couple Clone Wars and Rebel episodes.
He also streams a little. He's just in general just kind of down-to-earth guy, really nice guy.
He had involvement with making a D&D art book. I mean, the guy's just cool.
I mean, he's a nerd, so I like him.
Next one, EA cancels another game. Don't use foul language, Gilbert. They canceled the Visceral game.
Stash it. Screw them.
Okay, thank you, Jesse.
Let's write out this
I'm
contract.
going to throw
and
a
get something
thermal
better.
imploder at them because they're being jerks right now.
All right, so I guess we all blast it. Star Wars Resistance gets renewed for a second season. Blast or stash it, Jesse.
I'll go ahead and stash it. Too soon to tell if this is going to be not me or for
David?
me.
Stash it. I didn't like the first episode or first season of Clone Wars or Rebels, but it was the subsequent seasons that really got me fall in love with
Ooh,
it.
hot take. Good take. Every show so far, that first season, has spent some time trying to find its
awful.
identity.
It's been terrible.
Well,
I think it's
okay.
been terrible. I
Well,
did not like the first season of either one of those shows.
I'm stashing the renewal. And then I don't think that we have this one in there, or maybe we do.
No, I added this question because there's something that
Okay.
popped up in the live chat. But Disney Parks is raising their entry fees in anticipation of Galaxy's Edge opening.
Yeah, we did talk about that, and I'm blasting that.
Blasted.
I'd blast it. It's kind of, considering that I think most people are struggling in some form or another, raising that price kind of sucks. But
I'd say blasted too.
at the same time, they got to pay for my living quarters. So
All right, well, that's 3 straight blasts. That's stash it or blast it, staying on target. It's the next topic. I like how we do that more rapid fire.
Yeah.
I really do enjoy
it's fun.
that.
It's fun that way.
It's a lot more fun that way. Stay on target, I should say. Heroes of the Empire, a documentary by Speechless Films. You can watch on Amazon Prime starting February 8th. This award-winning 60-minute documentary follows the 501st UK Garrison. They're a cosplay organization in the UK. You might have figured that out. They do fundraising events. And what this documentary is doing is it reveals the side of costuming that you've never seen before. This is it's won international film awards. They've done stuff for children's hospitals, and so what it is going to be documenting the impact that this organization makes on the community. And as I mentioned earlier in the episode, it's great to spotlight the goodwill that is spread by cosplayers because it's not just building. For Jesse, for an example. It's not just building armor, modifying the cosplay. There's like a purpose, and there's like there's a role that you can play. And so I know that something that interests Jesse is that he wants to take that cosplay at some point, that Mandalorian, and you want to showcase it off. You want to make some kids happy with it.
Yeah.
And we got to do that when we were at the Wizard World last year.
Oh, that was such a blast.
You had at least 150
I have
people stop
something
you.
really special planned for Celebration. And this is actually just because my experience at cons, in particular, my first convention at PAX South, where a security guard thanked me for being in costume and how him working that event, all it did was get his kid in there, but they didn't have enough money for anything. So I'm working on a handful of things to give away.
Don't give it away yet. We'll talk about that later in the show.
So-
we have that planned. I want to start with David on this one because Amazon Prime is something that I've gotten to enjoy about the last 6 months. I got the Fire Stick. I was very much opposed to the whole streaming thing, and I've gone a 180 on it. And Amazon Prime, what they do great is like Netflix has good documentaries. I really enjoy like the shooting difference in these documentaries that arrive on Amazon Prime. And for example, this is weird, but there is an incredible Hugh Hefner documentary. It's like a 10 or 12 episode documentary.
Really?
And it's really well done. They've basically found like every interview with Hugh Hefner and all this footage from like the late night show and like all this stuff. It's great. And so I'm really excited that Amazon Prime gets this. It's now going to have this worldwide release coming up next month. David, as a fan that appreciates cosplay but that does not cosplay, are you interested in watching something like this to like it's Star Wars content, but it's different though?
I would be interested in it because when I went to my first con last year with you guys at Wizard World, it blew me away at all of the cosplay that occurred. So I'd be very interested in seeing a short little hour-long documentary about that. My question is, how many people actually watch this? Because I know a lot of people who are on Amazon Prime, but they do it because they want the free shipping. You're the only person, David, that I really know that actually watches Amazon Prime for their video streaming service.
Oh, okay. Well,
So to me, it'll be interesting how many people actually watch this, just because everyone I know does Netflix or Hulu.
Jesse, is this another example of how cosplay in general is becoming a little bit more mainstream? I mean, if you got a documentary on Amazon Prime, this is going to be a lot of exposure for the art of it. You've got to be like in cloud 9 right now.
Well, I mean, the 501st, I mean, they really set, they basically set everything up. I mean, somebody out there is like, you know what, I want stormtrooper armor, you know, and I'm gonna, you know, figure out how to do it. I'm gonna get it, and more as this caught on and everything. There's already, like, you can find small little interviews for some of these guys. The work, and it's not just the 501st, but the Mandalorian Mercs, the Rebel Legion, they do so much in their communities. I mean, the thing is, what most people don't realize is for the 501st, it's garrisons. There's the Illinois garrison or something. For the Mercs, you know, it's the Nexu clan is for Illinois. Worldwide.
Yeah.
Okay. And yes, this focuses on the UK and everything, but it's a worldwide thing. And these groups, they raise money for all sorts of things, children's hospitals, cancer research. You know, and that's the thing is, especially, you know, visiting children's hospitals and everything. I mean, these are kids that they can't leave the hospital for whatever reasons. And so when they see one of these, you know, they don't see me. They're, you know, what they're going to see is if somebody dressed up, they're going to see Darth Vader. They're going to see Boba Fett. They're going to see a stormtrooper,
maybe
Princess Leia. I mean, we had the, you know, a phenomenal Princess Leia cosplayer that we showcased months back.
Oh yeah, Rebecca crushes it.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where, like, and even just me going to Wizard World, that was just me just having fun, nerding out. But you guys missed this moment. I was standing in line for that contest, and there was people walking by, and, you know, of course, and this mom was like, "Oh my God, how long are you gonna be here?" I was like, "I don't know, maybe 5-10 minutes." You know, like, I'm waiting in line here for the to participate. And she came back, and her son had heard that, you know, they don't really realize that there's, you know, thousands of Mandalorians or something like that. You know, they just see Boba Fett or Jango Fett. He had heard that there was a Boba Fett at the convention and couldn't find me, and he was upset that he didn't get a picture. So her, you know, and he was already out in the car, and she was on her way out.
So she went back, got the son, and brought him back in.
Yeah, and everything. So it was like one of those things where, like, you know, it's just, you make somebody's day. Yeah. I mean, you even saw this, we weren't even in the convention yet, and people were running, you know, pictures. They love it.
And that's
it's
happening, that's happening for cosplayers all over the world, which is evident by this documentary. So, like, I'm really excited about it because I think that they're going to explore maybe a little bit about, like, the passion behind why they cosplay. I think you're going to get to see the reaction of these kids reacting to the cosplays. And that's, like, the thing is, like, it's all going to be feel good. And I'm really excited about it. I actually reached out to Speechless Films and asked for permission for us to use footage of it. Wasn't able to get the footage in the show. I think we'll do this as a single shot, and I'll have video of it to put over us. And then I might just share it on the YouTube channel. But they're, like, super friendly, and they want to get the word out, and they're super helpful. And I'm just really excited for this whole project. I think it's super cool, and I think it's highlighting cosplay in a way that hasn't really done before. I don't know of, like, any mainstream documentaries on, like, the 501st. Like, I see, like, YouTube videos. Yeah. We've done videos where we've met.
This is kind of a first, something that's actually really highlighting one of the Star Wars cosplay groups.
And we have people in the live chat right now saying that they watch stuff on Amazon Prime too.
Yep.
So you need to be a little bit more respectful to the consumer base.
Listen, all I said is I don't know anybody who does. I wasn't disrespectful.
Well, it sounded like shots were fired, and Miss P took it that way. What do you think about this cosplay documentary on Amazon Prime? Or, you know, watch it, or, you know, let me know what you think about it. I hope so. Let me know in the live chat or us in the comments down below. Last segment. We're finally here. Fan Comlink. Guys, I cannot tell you how much fun it's been to be back with you, doing the show together, live. Fan Comlink. First question that we have today. This was sent to us prior to the start of the show. Looks like we've got a couple more added. So we will try and do Lightspeed here, but we'll give you the appropriate attention. Average Calamities asks, how long do you see EA supporting and adding new content to Battlefront 2? Do you think they closed ranks to keep the game alive? So, earlier, when you thought I was being rude to Jesse, and I was like, Jesse, stop where you are. You're going on a tangent. You're talking too much. You need to stop talking, okay? This is why.
He's going to get a shock collar for me.
In FanCom. You know what? That actually is a great idea. Jordan, do we have that in the budget? A shock collar?
Shock collar?
We bought 3 cameras for the set. Why can't we buy a shock collar to track Jesse's mouth? Okay, so I think that we will get DLC for the game until about 6 months out from the release of the next Battlefront 3, the next Battlefront game, whenever that ultimately happens. David said earlier a couple of ideas of when that game could drop. I would like more story DLC, but I think you might just get these, here's more playable characters. At some point, they got to give us Asajj Ventress. At some point, they need to give us Ahsoka. Give me Tarkin on the battlefield. Ever since... Huh?
Old man Tarkin.
Dude, ever since
around
they had Krennic. They had Krennic.
Don't
in
bite
Battlefront
fire on this one
2015.
because, as he points out, we had Krennic, and we also, in that comic book, there was that one shot. It was kind of filler, but it was Vader and Tarkin hunting each other in Charles Soule's Vader comic. And ever since I've read that, and if you read the Tarkin novel, Tarkin on the battlefield would be dope. I think it's a single blaster. I don't think it's a highly desirable character, but for me, I think Tarkin would be a fun character.
I'd like to see Captain Rex. I think that would be cool.
Oh, duh.
Even Cad Bane might be fun.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Top 3 has to happen.
I'd love to see Django in there, but I kind of feel like they won't do it.
Hey,
because they're
what's up,
basically
everybody?
Boba
This is
and
Rebel
Django
Steve.
kind of same, except they're one's
Playing
dual
some
wielding
Battlefront for
pistols
Beyond the
and
Blast
one's
Doors.
using an E3, so.
So I read somewhere on the internet that when Peter Cushing filmed the scene,
We
where
got some
they're blowing up
updates. First
Alderaan and
updates
standing
of
on the bridge,
2019.
that he found the boots in the Imperial uniform to be very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So he wore like slippers and pajama bottoms.
He had moccasins
So
on, yeah.
If there's like a skin of him, I would
And
love
bunny
for it to
slippers?
be- yeah.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
Yep.
I'm down for that. The second part of this question is do we think that they close ranks, Jesse? I think what it is it's one, Lucasfilm wants to control storytelling. It's 2, I think EA wants to protect itself. EA wants to make the games, and they're not going to let these other they buy these other companies. They're not going to hand off these projects. They're going to be keeping it centralized.
I don't know if
makes
EA
sense.
wants to make the games, because how many of them have they canceled? Even when they took away Vicereal, they gave it to EA Vancouver, and they still canceled it a second time.
Hey, Jordan, on that video for Battlefront 2, you can keep that going, but apparently they can hear Rebel Steve. Steve Hyman is our another crew member here of Beyond the Blast Doors, and he does our live streams
He's in a
every
galaxy
week.
far, far away.
And he was showing off this past Thursday, I believe it was, on Twitch. He was showing off Dooku's playability. Dooku is now available on Battlefront 2.
He's OP.
OP?
He's overpowered.
Oh, overpowered?
Yeah.
Well, the hard thing about Dooku, I think, is the fact that, what's the perfect blend between, Dooku and the Emperor? Because, he has the Force lightning, but he's also, one of the best duelsmen that we've seen in Star Wars. So it's just, I can see how that would be an issue. And, yeah, I'm sure that's something that they fine-tune over time.
I was playing the other day, and I came around the corner and saw Dooku standing there, and I ran away like a little girl, so... Screaming.
Let's be honest. If I saw Christopher Lee standing with a lightsaber too,
and I didn't get far either. So
we're going to go to the next question now. When it comes to fan comlink, and we'll just be here on camera with you since these are questions that we're getting live right now from the live chat. Remember, you can always ask us questions during the show for fan comlink. All you have to do is all you need to do is tag us at Beyond the Blast Doors in the live chat, or tweet at us. Hashtag Beyond the Blast Doors. Okay, so Get in 136 asks, how do you feel if at the end of episode 9, if R2 is launched into space, time jump to Earth in the 1970s, the escape pod lands in the desert of California, R2 emerges and begins rolling, goes up to the first person he meets, spits out a data card to them, camera pans up.
I think that'd be awful. That's like a cop-out Super Mario Brothers 2 when Mario wakes up and the entire thing was a dream. That's awful.
I think I'm going to give you A for creativity, but I would not enjoy that myself.
I would not enjoy that either. Creativity, go for it.
Jesse's trying to find polite words.
Well, I think you have the timeline wrong. I don't think it would take place in the 70s. It would actually be the Roswell crash. So, no, that's a fun question.
I like this list here that Ganon136 also gave us in the live chat. We had asked, what are the characters you need to have? He wants Ahsoka, Ventress, Django, and Rex. Absolutely has to happen, and I definitely agree. I also would like an option where if you could do heroes and heroes and villains, where just one-on-one, kind of like
I think Heroes vs. Villains is a game mode in there.
Okay, perfect. Because here's a question: Who would win, Django or Boba? Don't have time to answer it. You chew on that. We can talk about it next week. But do you have an easy answer?
I don't. It's a very complicated answer.
Yes, great. So we'll say that for next week. But no, love the creativity. Last question that we have here. Much like episode 3 and 6, I had to do math. What new amazing ship design would you like in episode 9? The third in the trilogy always gives us amazing new ships. Man. This is... Do you know your answer, David, on this one?
I do, but you're not really going to like my
All right,
answer. You guys can go first.
All right, you can look at it. All right, what is it? What is it?
My answer?
Yeah, what's your answer?
So I don't want new ships. I don't.
Oh, okay.
We are at the point in galactic history where we have the remnants of the Confederacy, of the Republic. We have the remnants of the Galactic Empire, of the Rebellion, the Resistance, First Order. We now have like 6 empires worth of ships now. And let's be honest, resources and they keep blowing up planets. Things have to be dwindling. So give me more ships that are rehashes of old ones. Maybe slap a new paint job on them. Add some extra things to make them look like they've been, fixed with duct tape and paper clips and extra mufflers and stuff.
Yeah.
But give me some of those old ships from days gone by that we know that we love. Give me an original X-wing that they break into an old Republic storage facility and find a bunch of your ARC 170s that are just sitting there covered in sheets collecting dust.
You kind of see that actually in Battlefront 2's story mode campaign when you're fighting some, I want to say, let's just say some criminals. They actually are running around in modified ARC 170s. So yeah, you're right. I kind of feel like we have seen actually a lot of new fancy ships. We've seen kind of an updated First Order TIE Fighter. We've seen the updated X-Wings, Star Destroyers. It doesn't make sense for us not to see Remnant, especially with the Rebellion. Maybe we will with this one since they kind of got
the only thing I can
jacked
think of
in the face.
The only thing I can think of is because like Snoke's supremacy, like that's like to me that's like this trilogy's Executor, right? So like the only thing I can think of is like if like the Eclipse is brought back to be canon or something. Like that's the only thing I can think of is like I think I'm with David because the Resistance right now has no resources unless they're able to accumulate in a year. And the same thing goes for the First Order. Can they accumulate in a year? There's going to be no Starkiller Base 2. That's not going to be a thing.
Good.
So, well, I don't know that for sure. That's my assumption.
I hope not. But it's like, you, David, got really excited when they came out with Poe Dameron's X-Wing. Poe Dameron's X-Wing is the same as every other X-Wing except it was black and orange pieces.
And more sleek.
We can see that with Major Von Reg's ship that's coming out. It's a TIE Interceptor, except instead of black and gray, it's red. So they can take the same things that they've already... And Disney wants new ships to merchandise. That's why they do it. So they can take the same ships we already have, tweak them a little bit, pump out the same designs, and just use different color bricks, and people are going to go crazy for it.
I want to clarify something from earlier. So I agree. Yes, that's where we stand on that answer. Going back, though, to Gannon's suggested ending for 9, because there was a second part of the tweet that we did not include. So, how would you feel if the end of episode 9 was R2 launched into space, time jump to Earth in the 1970s, the escape pod lands in the desert in California, R2 emerges and begins rolling, goes up to the first person he meets, spits out a data card to him, camera pans up, and it's young George Lucas.
Oh. No, that's bad.
Still don't like it?
Still don't like it.
Okay, but again, 100% for creativity.
I'm sorry, I don't know how to use Twitter very well.
Boys, this was a great episode. It really means a lot that we were able to get together here for episode 56 live. It really does mean the world to us that we're able to do this. And real quick shout out to Jordan again. He is like the unsung hero of this effort.
He's a wizard.
He is a wizard.
He
and
somehow makes us look pretty on camera.
Yeah,
I'm certain he goes to Hogwarts.
It's a challenge for a couple of us.
It's possible. Well, we all have our flaws. So we got the new camera last week. We're excited to say that we're going to go to a multicam setup for next week. So the set might look a little bit different for episode 57.
I'm sorry that I'm ugly.
No, I think you're beautiful. I think you should shave a little bit more often under the chin. But other than that, it looks like pubic hair. But now, the thing I wanted to talk about is the fact that we are taking the show to the next level. That was a joke. David's laughing.
It hurts me right here, David.
It's
right
all right.
here.
Hey, at least we know you've hit puberty.
We were talking about that in the car on the road.
Like, I need to shave.
My point is, your participation in our Star Wars conversation motivates us to keep going. And you see the fun that we're having here. We're talking about more content, we're talking about more Star Wars news. We're getting more content out there. And I mentioned right after this, we're going to try and bust out real quick a cosplay surprise with Jesse. And we've got more Lego Live builds, and we've got a few other things in the works, Star Wars Celebration. And just thank you for being part of our Star Wars conversation. Share our conversation with everyone you know. We're, like I said, we're about to hit a big milestone. The reason why we want to hit those milestones is because YouTube allows us more features to allow us to have more success, getting more eyes on our videos. It's all ingredients to a really successful show and product. So really happy about it. Closing thoughts. Anybody? We're wrapping up episode 56. It looks like I think we need food.
Yes, my tummy just.
Are you hungry? Are you hungry? Okay, so we're going to get food. Remember, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That's where you can follow Beyond the Blast Doors. And we haven't thanked them once this episode, and that's my fault. But we need to thank the Fantasy Shop in Maplewood, Missouri for being the proud sponsor of our show. They are the best place, and the only place, honestly, that we go for comics, collectibles, toys, Magic the Gathering, and board games. The Fantasy Shop in St. Louis, proudly serving St. Louis since 1981, and so thankful to have them as our sponsor. So you know what to do. If you haven't already, smash the thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button. If you haven't already, ring the bell so you get updates. And stay tuned for more awesome Star Wars content here on Beyond the Blast Doors. We are going to have a new episode of Beyond the Panel this Thursday, 6 p.m., Might have a guest on there in a couple weeks. I'm working really hard to get that new show on the roll. I want you to join me for it. In the meantime, I'm David, he's Jesse. We'll see you soon, everyone. Thanks for hanging out. It was a blast.
Thank you for watching Beyond the Blast Doors. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. Don't forget, give us a thumbs up and leave a comment. Beyond the Blast Doors, a Star Wars conversation.